Hey y'all, it's Nanny with Hootenanny Homestead, and I have spotted some UFOs on my property. Y'all, I'm not kidding. I'm serious. They are all over the front yard and the driveway. I cannot let this opportunity slip through my fingers. I have got to go take you outside and show them to you and see if maybe all of us together might be able to figure out exactly what these are. I mean, I love foraging, and I never want to pass up an opportunity to do so. But I know better than to eat something that is unidentified.
Unidentified foraging opportunities.
What kind of UFOs did you think I was talking about? Jeez, come on. This little milkweed right here, it is absolutely adorable. And they are going to spread like wildfire over my property, and I know they are, but that's okay. They are good for the monarch butterflies, so I'll do my part. Hoping maybe I can be able to remove the seed pods before they spread too much, but here are a few of them that are right at the very front of my driveway. And the thing I find extremely unique about these, that compared to any other that I've ever seen, is these little purple rings. I knocked some of the petals off and this milky secretion came out, so I knew for sure that it definitely was a milkweed. Now right here behind the milkweed plants is a blueberry bush. Actually, there's quite a few of them in the woods right there. I'm not 100% sure if these are wild blueberries or if they have been planted here by the homesteaders that homesteaded here many, many years ago. We have found remnants and evidence of a very old homestead on the place, even an old chicken coop area, but everything just about is rusted and dilapidated of that part. But the blueberries, almost to me, do not look like wild blueberries. They are thick all up in this little corner of the front of the driveway right there. The only reason they don't produce really large blueberries is because they're in so much shade. There is one that I'll show you later on that is not in shade, and the blueberries on it is much bigger, and they're already starting to get ripe. But all of these in here, it's hard to see for all the little saplings, but there is blueberries. If you look really hard, you can see the bushes all thick in that area right there. And like I said, I don't know if they're wild or tame. They could have been planted by the former homesteaders. I'm kind of hoping that they are tame because usually those will produce a bigger blueberry. Right here on my driveway, you can go this direction and go to the upper side of the cabin, or go this direction and go to the lower side of the cabin, and in between these little stumps right here. Now, right here's a stump with some little saplings growing around it. And let me show you what I've found over here. It is what I think is the staghorn sumac, along with the grapevine of some sort. I personally have never seen a wild grapevine that actually bore grapes, so I'm wondering if it is a wild grapevine. Like I said, there were old homesteaders here, so this actually could be a tame grapevine that's just been kind of overrun by some bushes and shrubs and the loggers who logged the property just before we purchased it. But if you look hard right in here, you can see the little red fuzzy berries on what I do believe to be the staghorn sumac tree. It's quite small, but there is one directly behind where I'm standing right now. There is another one that's quite large, and it has the same berries on it. But right underneath all the shrub and brush is that grapevine. And maybe one of these days I'll get in here and I'll clean all this out and discover exactly what kind of grapevine it is, if it's something that's edible or not, and if for sure that is a staghorn sumac. Now right here, just on down the road from that stump, is another stump. And right next to this stump is the blueberry bush that is right out in the open, getting plenty of sunshine, and I want you to look at these blueberries. Yum, oh, is all I have to say. So I'm going to pick me a little handful here of the ripe ones. And some of these are just so ripe they're just falling off the vine, which is perfect for picking. It is kind of difficult to pick with one hand a blueberry simply because you don't want to squish what's already in your hand. Sorry about the leaf in the front of the camera there. Oh, there's a juicy one. Now, I like blueberries. I'm not like a fanatic about them, but I know that they're really good for you. Oh, look at that handful of blueberries. Some of them's not quite ripe, but you know what? I'm going to eat them anyway. Mm, mm, mm. Now, right here in front of the cabin, just behind the little doghouse. Hi, Dash. Hoot and I discovered something when we pulled up the other day. I've weeded it since then. It was almost buried in the high shrubs and brush. But this beautiful rose bush. Just behind this rose bush, through the shrubs right there, is another rose bush that I found the other day next to my loganberries I had planted. I had actually weeded it down, and it's just a really short thing now, but it is there, and I'm sure it will continue to grow. Now here is the little plant that has continued to elude me, trying to figure out what it is. I can tell you what it's not with an absolute assurance. It is not mullein. Even though it is fuzzy, it is not mullein. I have gotten out all of my medicinal herb books and a lot of other foraging books, and I have looked this little plant up and everything I can possibly find, and I cannot find what it is. Now, I'm going to take a wild guess that it must be in the plantain family. Now I know for sure that it is not lamb's ear. This is a picture of a lamb's ear leaf, and the vein pattern on it does not match my plant at all. The vein pattern on this plant that I found looks nothing like it. Now here is some broadleaf plantain growing in my front yard, and the leaf shape and the vein pattern looks exactly like my little plant. The vein pattern on the plantain and the vein pattern on my plant are exactly the same. Now there is a plant called a fuzzy plantain, but it has the obvious little seed stem or fruit stem in the middle that grows up with the plant, and the plant lays flat to the ground. My plant doesn't have either one of those. Now here is another plant growing in my front yard that I am extremely curious about. I actually noticed it first when I was weed eating the yard one day, and I noticed that when I cut it down, it gave off this really strong smell. It wasn't a bad smell. It was, well, when you crush it up, it kind of smells a tiny bit on the dill side, but, I mean, a slight hint of it, but it just smells like an herb, and I can't recognize what herb that is that I'm smelling. Now here's a close-up of the little flower buds that do come off of the top of it. I'm planning on taking a closer look at those when they do bloom. When you pull it up, this is what the root looks like. And the stem is actually, up here where it's green, it's actually square. So if y'all have any idea what this little plant is, let me know. Now right here I have made me a little temporary garden until I can get more land cleared. This is the area in the yard where the humps and bumps are, because that used to be the trash pile right there, and when the guy came in and tried to move that, it left humps and bumps all in this area, and it's really rough and hard to mow. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to make this a garden spot. So that's what I did. There was a strong young man here the other day, and he dug the holes for me to be able to plant my squash. And when I got those in the ground, I decided, hey, I'm just going to put this fence up around it to keep the little neighborhood rabbit that loves to come up in the yard in the evening and munch on the grass and clover, keep him out. So I put up these fences, put a little bit of rabbit wire around it, and put a little bit of compost in the piles and the holes that the young man dug for me, and planted my squash plants, and they are already starting to really grow. The reason why is I put a lot of rabbit manure. Now that one's a little close to the fence there. I'm probably just going to get me another post and pull the fence back. Now this little plant right here, he is looking really healthy. He's looking better than any of them. Looky right there. Oh, that is awesome. Awesome! I'll have squash in no time. Look here, you guys. This little patch of goldenrod right here in my front yard. I just mowed around it, let it grow.